What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ring the Bell Philly Show. Christy, Francesco, Jason, Kent are here with you guys, and happy Mother's Day to all you mamas out there. Special shout out to my wife, my mom, Jason's wife. Um, our two wives here are both moms, and we probably wouldn't be able to do this show if they just didn't say yes. So,
Yeah.
thank you
Mhm.
for all of this, and I thank you to everything that you all do. You ladies are just absolute miracle workers, so thank you so much. So not the week we expected, right?
Yeah.
But a winning week, right? Which is the most important. They still have the best record in baseball. They have the most wins in baseball, the highest win percentage in baseball. So, Jay, really, there's really not much to complain about, right?
No, and to me, I said it before we went on air. To me, a few years ago, if you tell me if you're the Phillies and you go into a week and both of your top two aces lose their games, what's your record going to be that week? And I don't think anybody'd say they have a winning record. So I think it just goes to show you how deep the pitching staff is. The one encouraging thing I think I could take from today's game is the bullpen came in and looked great. Felt like the bullpen looked very good most of this week.
Yeah.
Um, and Casty's starting to heat up. And
Yeah.
so him and Bryson's starting to get hot. We've talked about Harper. He's starting to heat up. So it's one of those things that, even though, like you said, we lost those two games, you kind of thought those are the games we'd get. There's a lot of positives going forward. And like you said, we won the week. As long as we're stacking series together, we still haven't lost a series this year now since the second series of the year. So
Correct.
things are getting good.
And it's wild to even say this, but I mean, that was the first time that I've seen Zach Wheeler be as poor as he was today. I mean, his worst two starts as a Philly have both come in Miami. And you could just tell after that first inning where he threw 10 pitches in that first inning, you could just tell like the command just was not there. He was missing all over the place. You know, it I just felt like I don't want to say he pitched scared, but I just feel like even he knew he just didn't have it today. Um, it's crazy because if you look at this game, and I looked at the box score, and Zach Wheeler and Braxton Garrett each threw 80 pitches, 49 strikes, the same look of it, but had completely different days, which is just crazy to think. But what was your thoughts on Zach Wheeler today?
It just didn't have it. And
Yeah,
it's sometimes you go in and you saw it, or he didn't have it completely today. You kind of figured, hopefully he can get through and not give up so many,
yeah,
but it just happens. And we were in there at the end, so they fought back. They really the bullpen didn't give up a run until really that hit off of Soto at the end.
yeah,
That was literally off his backside. So
yeah.
there's still some encouraging things. You'd like to have pulled that one out, but hey, it happens. Like you hope, like you've seen last year with Walker, and even in a couple of his starts this year, that if he gives up a few, the offense can pick him up. But that's just the way the cookie crumbled today. It just didn't go your way.
And for sure. And look, Wheeler lasted just 4 innings, which is his least amount of innings pitched this season. Through 80 pitches, he put 10 men on base today. The Phillies did score 3 runs in the top of the sixth to come back and tie the game, which was incredible. Because if you look at, talk about like an unsung hero of this team. Edmundo Sosa has reached base 12 of 27 plate appearances since Trey Turner's injury, with a double, 2 triples, 5 RBIs, and 7 runs. Like he's been such an incredible cog in that wheel, with Turner going down. We talked about before that maybe this team has such a lack of depth, but man, when you see what Edmundo Sosa has been able to come in here and do, that's a big deal. Like that's like I can't even overestimate how big of a deal it is. Like that Sosa isn't just a fill-in dude who, look, you get what you get. It is what it is. No, he's one of those guys where if you see him in the lineup, I expect him to produce, and that's what he's doing.
Oh, I 1,000% agree. I
Yeah.
early in the season, or I think our first show for the prediction, I said I thought him and Witt are both guys that should get significant at bats because I think Sosa's a guy. Just because the way baseball is today, nobody's playing 162. So let's
Yeah.
fill these guys in because there's going to be the situations like Turner going down and Sosa's going to have to play more. And that makes Witt, all that kind of goes, and then so I think it's a great thing to have. I never thought. I thought their bench was really well. They lacked power off the bench, but they do
Mhm.
have a lot of these guys that can just hit. But even Sosa last year, I think gave us 10 home runs, so he's got a little bit of pop. So, to see him coming in producing is definitely huge because you thought the drop off with how hot Turner was playing
Mhm.
could be pretty significant. But he's come in and listen, all Witt's playing well.
Yes.
Rojas, Pache's coming off the bench playing well. So that everybody, it's kind of, Bohm seems to maybe go down a little bit. Turner's out. Now we're missing Schwarber. The guys that you need to pick it up are picking it up. So it's so beautiful that they were able to go out and get these bench players and, maybe trade for a guy like Sosa last year to bring him in. I remember
Yeah.
he came from a Cardinals team. He came from the Cardinals. The dude, one of the guys was like, dude, the guy's a bum. He's not going to play well. And I think Sosa's been pretty good for us last few years.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like he's pretty clutch too. I feel like every time I see Sosa, he's doing something clutch.
Yeah.
So,
And he
which
plays
is
great defense. I think
he
for
really
he
does. Yeah.
shortstop, third base,
Yeah.
he's a great guy to have off the bench to play great
Yep.
defense into the game.
Absolutely. And you mentioned his name a little bit ago, and Nick Castellanos. Look, I'll be the first to admit, and everyone who watches these shows knows that I've been shredding the guy like no other the past 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm not saying it wasn't deserved, but I can come on here right now and said, man, he's been huge for this team. He has 5 extra base hits and 7 RBIs in his 8 game hitting streak. He had a 3-run home run again today. In his last 15 games, dude, like he's got a 283 batting average. He's sporting a 367 on base and a 566 slug. That base percentage isn't what that's significantly a little bit higher than I expect for Nick Castellanos, but that slugging and that batting average is more along the line of my expectations of a Nick Castellanos from a career perspective. What are you seeing out of Nick? And I'll tell you what, not to cut you off before you get started, but I'm seeing a dude that's really confident right now swinging a baseball bat.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It looks like the confidence and the swagger's there, and
Yeah.
he's just seeing it. And just the last week, he's batting. I think he's batting somewhere close to 400 or maybe over it the last week,
Yep.
348. So a little bit less, but OBP for like 2 home runs. He's dialed in right now, and that's like it. You needed that. He was one of the guys that we've even talked about. Could
Yeah.
you maybe see something because he just hasn't played well? With
Yeah.
Turner going down, you needed somebody to pick up that slack. And, it's to me, it's just thankful you're seeing it because I know you were mentioned you're really worried about could this be the decline of Casty? And,
Yeah.
I still believe he could do it. And he's showing us it right now. He's starting to come out of that funk, which is going to be huge this upcoming week playing, all NL East opponents.
Yeah, so that's gonna be huge. And like looking at his splits now, like you said, over this last week, he's hitting 333 with that 419 OBP. And again, over his last 15 games, he's hitting 263, 344 on base percentage. I'm not sure I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's updated. So and you look at this guy, man, like he's gonna be a big deal, and we don't know what's going on necessarily. With Kyle Schwarber, is that going to be, it's 2 games in a row now. Not sure how long that's going to be. JT's already got, a pretty sore knee, so he's out of that lineup.
The one thing I do want to say, and it does think that John's not here. I want to give him credit. What do you do with JT? Because he is so, like I really I get you can't not have Trey Turner there because moving Schwarber's out of the question.
For sure.
But
It is.
if JT is like, could you move? To me, I don't even think I don't know. Maybe you move everybody else down 1 and go maybe put Harper at 4.
That's definitely something you have to think about, right? I mean, the way this lineup's shaken out, You're right. I mean, that might be something that they have to think about depending on where you're at
Yeah,
in the next couple weeks.
he's just batting too like when he was so bad in that 5 hole, and when he was in the
Very.
4 hole. Like if the dude is producing there, I think Trey is much more of a professional hitter over his career. He's kind of moved up and down the lineup.
Yeah.
So I think if JT's really just that hot, you gotta ride it as long as you can. He's playing well. He's hitting well really since he moved to that 2 hole.
I mean, yeah, batting, he's got 29 plate appearances, 26 at bats, hitting second this year. He's hitting 423.
Yeah,
And he's got an
that's
on base percentage of 485 in that 2 hole, JT Real Muto. If you look at everywhere else this season, hitting fourth, he's hitting 233, can't get on base, batting fifth, 260 with a 330 on base. But boy, oh boy, he must love that two spot because he's dominant. And you're
could
right.
Bryce be? Could it be the Bryce in front of him too? Like who's in, or I mean, who's behind him is going to
Yeah.
be helping him a lot, definitely.
That's a great point. I think that's something that's going to be probably talked about over the next, maybe few days or a week, depending on this injury situation with JT. I'm assuming he'll probably play. I mean, the Phillies are up in New York now for just to this 2 game set before coming back home. I'm assuming JT starts tomorrow, right? I'm guessing he got that extra
I
day off
think,
today.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's
Um,
back. Yeah, they just said what? There's the kind of knee soreness, so yeah, he
yeah.
should be back.
Hope so. But I will say this, and kind of going back, I know we kind of jump around, but talk about his backup catcher for a second, which is Garrett Stubbs. God bless his soul, man. But bless his little heart. But Wheeler is terrible with Garrett Stubbs in a very small sample size. 34 to third innings. He has a 6.30 ERA
Oh
compared to a
my god!
2.90 ERA with JT Real Muto. So
So
what
let's
is
not
it?
give
I don't understand what this is.
some people. It wasn't isn't like it wasn't there. I didn't know the stats, but I know John had mentioned many times Nola pitches. Like I
Very
think
well
it's
with
well.
Stubbs.
So
Yeah.
it's got to be a pitcher catcher. There's got to be there's always certain guys that just know each other. And it
Yeah.
feels like those it's whatever him and Nola have, him and
Yeah.
Wheeler do not have at all.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what. Yeah, no, you're right. So, I saw that stat, so I had to say it because we were just talking about a catcher. But, returning back to the offensive side, this is an ideal time for Casty and the Bryson Stott, who, we are now just bringing up now, who has been smoking hot lately. With Trey Turner being out, another month, Kyle Schwarber's got lower back soreness. Real Muto was out for Sunday's lineup. Castellanos, like you said, riding high, man, 8 game hitting streak. Bryson Stott reached base all 5 times on Sunday, guys. A single, double, 3 walks, and 2 steals. Have a day. That's like a fantasy. That's like a fantasy baseball owner's like dream. Like what he did today. Over his last 11 games, Jay, and this isn't being talked about, and I blame myself for not looking at this because I'm a big stock guy. He's hit 412, a 553 on base percentage, 765 slugging over his last 11 games, 7 extra base hits, 13 RBIs, 11 walks, 6 strikeouts. Why are we not talking about Bryson Stott more?
Because I think there was a lot of eyes on Harper,
Yeah,
because the Harper's so much been. I know we were really down on Stott, like it was one of those things, but I think it kind of came out of nowhere because you weren't expecting. I felt like even the last show we talked about him, it wasn't, and then this last, like you said, his last 11 games, so even a little bit last week, but it didn't feel like he's been so bad. But if he starts hitting again, like if he hits like he did last year, because that's the thing. I know Cassie's coming up. It's contagious and it's really showing it. Like Cassie's getting hot, Stott's getting hot, and they're all
mm-hmm.
getting even Harper's heat, like they're all getting hot at the right time, and they're picking each other up. And
Yeah,
I think Stott's the big one because he's the guy ideally you'd like to eventually move up to the 1 or 2. I would assume he's the guy in the future in that spot.
mm-hmm.
So you'd love to see him continue to just be what he was at least last year and improve on that. And he seems to be figuring it out, which is very big for this team going forward with the injury history they have right now.
For sure. just rounding out the rest of this offense, except for the other day, Harper had a really bad Saturday, 0 for 5, 3 Ks. But before that, Harper seems to be pretty much, I guess I would say pretty much back on track. He's still not at the level that I want him to be at because that's just how I am. I'm just so odd because I just really, one, I pick him to win, the MVP. But two, I just have this massive expectation for him. But look, over his last 7 games, he's hitting 370 with a 452 on base percentage. Not going to complain about that at all. Over his last 15 games, he's hitting 270 with a 441 on base percentage. So,
That's what you look for. That's
yeah,
listen. That's
exactly.
what you need from him.
Exactly. Who I do want to talk about, who was damn near perfect this year, who pitched earlier this week, is Ranger Suarez, who right now should be a shoo-in for the number one spot of winning a Cy Young because he literally is the best pitcher in Major League Baseball this year, dude. Like he's 7-0 with a 1.5 ERA. He's got 54 innings pitched, only 31 hits given up, only 9 earned runs, 55 strikeouts. He has a whip of 0.72. And his strikeouts per 9 are at 9, which is wild for Ranger Suarez. Dude, what are we watching here? When you watch Ranger Suarez pitch, you're thinking there's no way the dude can be this dominant, but he has 4 pitches. His command of all 4 pitches are really good, clearly. And he just seems so unhittable. What is it about Ranger?
So this is a name I'm gonna throw out there, and this is gonna be for Dean as well. If he's still
I know what you're gonna say.
Dude, it's Jake Arrieta type season, bro.
It really is.
It's one of those it's one of those ones an R.A. Dickey that you just we all expected Ranger to play very well. We've said it multiple times. If he could be a 7-inning guy, I don't think any of us saw this. And his command's there, and he fields that position like nobody almost you've ever seen. Like he's one of the best fielding pitchers I've ever
Oh my
seen.
God, yeah.
He's phenomenal. So he just has the whole package this season. And that's the question. Can he keep it up for 35 starts? And even a little dip off's not bad, but right now, he leads the league in wins. He's second, I think, in ERA. He's second. He's right in top in the whip. Like all the categories you really want from your dude are there. And he hasn't gotten blown up, but right now it's looking like just one of those guys that's going to have a special season. And you really just hope he can stay with it. I think that's the only question. And you hope, knock on wood, no injuries.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, dude. Like I guess you could say it is only almost mid-May, and he's had 8 starts.
Listen, that's a quarter of their. That's almost
a quarter of their starts. Absolutely.
Man, in 8 starts, 7 wins,
and he's already thrown 55 innings. So I mean, and we're seeing lights out.
You just hope he can continue the success. That's the thing. Yeah. He's not giving up a ton of home runs. He doesn't walk a lot. I think that's the biggest thing is he's not walking a lot of batters. And there's not a lot of hard he gets a lot of ground balls. He gets a lot of double play balls, so he pitches the way you really want to for being a small stadium. So, he's just so effective. And it's great to have a solid because now you have to, if you want, I would even think about breaking up Wheeler and Nola and going righty, lefty, righty, like the rotations. I don't know, but some people like to do that. But even Nola or Ranger may go number 1. If he keeps this up, he may have to be number 1 starter in the playoffs.
I mean, I'm going to say, and, we're going to talk about it now because if there's a game I do want to talk about, and that's the loss earlier this week, game 2 against Toronto. You come off that big 10-1 win on Tuesday.
Barrios, yeah.
Yeah, you just completely smoked the dude. And then you come out on was it Wednesday, right? Was that Wednesday?
Yeah.
Or Thursday. Wednesday. Yeah. I don't know what day it is anymore. But dude, this is a consecutive bad starts by Nola. He threw 5 2/3, 9 hits, 4 runs, all earned. At least he didn't walk anybody this time. 7 strikeouts. I'm going to ask it because everyone knows me by now, so I'm going to stay on brand. Should we worry about Aaron Nola, period?
Well, he didn't give up a home run.
That's true.
Hey, listen, this is what he is. He's a guy that is going to give you a few quality starts. And sometimes they're better than quality. They'll be like seven innings, 1 run, but then he's going to go through the spurts where he gives us this. It's one of those things you just hope. Because I'm the biggest Nola guy. I just don't. It's tough to really keep championing. We know what he is at this point. You just hope come playoff times he's on that roll, because the Nola on the roll is a guy that can really be a Cy Young with top 4 Cy Young guy. You hope he's there come playoffs. So right now, just figure it out. We're going to get enough wins. But yeah, he's too hot and cold, I think, for that contract now.
Yeah.
He probably didn't deserve it.
Well, I mean, when you look at what Snell got and, Glass now got, you kind of figured, oh boy, we may have jumped the gun a little bit on giving $162 million.
Yeah, especially the Glasnow deal, because Glasnow looks really good.
Decent at very best. I actually know it's funny. It's like the money doesn't bother me with Nola. It's the years. It's the years is what bothers me. That's it. Because they're going to get paid anyway in this league.
Well, he's a dude. If you look at it too, the one thing I will say, he's going to give you, I think he's going to earn the contract. Is he going to be a low 3 dude? Probably not. No, but he's going to be a guy that you pretty much can lock in for 200 innings for each, or, for the life of that contract.
Yeah.
So at least I feel like at least you kind of are getting it with that, but you just expect him. You expect him to be better, and he doesn't have an out pitch. And I feel like that's always, it's always what we've been saying that for the longest time. This is a dude I've watched him get into so many 0-2 counts and just can't get the batter out. And then we see home runs and it just goes downhill.
Yeah. Agreed. Last couple guys I kind of want to talk about here. And he's a guy that's now flying under the radar of me not ripping him. And that's Brandon Marsh. Over the last 2 weeks, Brandon Marsh is pulling a slash of 212, 246 and 308. Over his last 30 games, Brandon Marsh, 238 batting average and a 282 on base percentage. What happened and how did this awful offensive lack of production fly under the radar?
Because he was hitting so hot early on, and it just listen. I just think it's the ebbs and flows of the game.
It's 248 right now with a 288 on base percentage.
He was, and he's not going to be a guy that walks it. He's never that OBP is never going to be what you want.
No.
But I feel like, listen, if the dude can give, I want 260, 270 from him. I don't think he's going to be a 280, 290 guy. But those are the ebbs, and he was so hot early on. It's going down, and listen, the other guys, the guys we need to carry us, are really stepping up right now.
You're right.
So
that's right. Yeah,
as long as he's still giving me good defense in left field, I'll kind of take it, because I know eventually he's streaky as well. But he should be a 265 guy at the end of the year.
Exactly, I agree. I totally agree. All right, so that's
insane though if you think about it. I'm sorry to cut you off.
It's okay.
He was so hot, and now you're looking at it. It's just,
dude.
It's because they're so. That's and I think that speaks to the offensive prowess of this. How great this team really is built, and that John and I feel knock a little too much, and this team is built beautifully.
It really is. And, there was a point. I mean, he was so hot for a while. We're like, God, do you bump him up to the 4 hole?
There was the argument being had for him to be that 4 hole.
It's like, we have to realize, I think all of us here that do this show, that there's 162 games. So again, this is the problem, guys. This is the illness that I live with when I go game by game with this team. Like I can't think of these things week by week. The reason was I played the game for so long that I take every single game so serious. And again, I was never even remotely in any light year galaxy close to the level of what these guys, mental standpoint. When I watch baseball, I take everything game by game. That's why I always feel so strongly about having great Aprils. Look what a great April did for the Philadelphia Phillies. They're in first place, best winning percentage and record in baseball. it matters because when you lose a game like you lose today in Florida, to be honest, it means absolutely nothing. I mean, that's the great thing about when you get out to such a big lead. And the Phillies, they said it today. It's the first time in 31 years that they have won 28 of their first 40 games of the season since 1993. It's incredible the kind of start that this team has had, and you just really want this team to stay healthy, to get healthy. A couple guys are banged up. You want this pitching to hold up. I still think when it comes mid-July, the Phillies should still be out there looking for really good pitching arms because look, if there's one thing you can't have enough of, it's really good pitching. And that's just you have to be aware of that. Because again, we've already talked about it. I'm going to enjoy this incredible ride that Ranger Suarez is bringing us on. But historically, in my mind, I'm thinking, how long can this go on? Same thing with Nola. If he struggles, if he gets that ERA in the fours near July, the Phillies going to have to go out there and they're going to have to get someone to come in here because look, if you're a World Series contender, they're going to have to build this team up as strong as humanly possible, especially from a depth point of view. So, but right now, like you said, Jay, like we've been talking about, the guys that are supposed to do it are doing it, and it's working right now. There's really I can't complain about anything. I'm not going to complain that Kyle Schwarber, you know, isn't hitting as well as we want him to. But look, he's still over 200, which is phenomenal. Castellanos seems to be on track right now. Bryce Harper's doing well. Bryson Stott has, it's like MLB. Like if MLB had a game like Blitz or NBA Jam, his bat's on fire walking up to the plate. Alec Boehm's still hitting 350 in his last 2 weeks. So look, and then like we just talked about, in the 2-hole, JT Realmuto basically can't even get out. So it's incredible what this offense is doing, despite some dudes like a Brandon Marsh, a Johan Rojas. Those guys are struggling. So, I mean, although Rojas, I feel like, is really starting to turn a corner. But nonetheless, Jay, this team, in a big roundabout way, I'm going to bring it back around. Yes, this team is built so well. And this is what we talked about in spring training, that on paper, this is a dominant baseball team if they do their jobs. And they are.
I said it before, this is what we expected the last few years.
Correct.
It really is. And it's being Philadelphia fans, you kind of expect the other shoe to drop. And it's, you know what? I don't want to, like you said, I really want to, and not even just the Ranger ride. I want to enjoy the ride that's going to be this season.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I can't remember I don't think even with that other team when they won a 102, they weren't the best team in baseball, were they? I don't think they had the most wins that year.
2011.
Yeah, but like there weren't many times where even if they were, there hasn't been many times where we've been the best team in baseball. In May, midway through May.
Phillies had the most wins in baseball by that year by like 6.
Oh wow,
yeah,
it was a bad year for wins.
102 wins for the Phillies. The next closest, the Brewers had 96.
Oh wow.
And the Rangers had 96, and the Yankees had 96.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so but like that's what I mean. Like it took a historic
it took a historic season.
Let's enjoy this. Let's enjoy this ride that is the Phillies. And I agree with you that everything is so beautifully built. Yeah. These guys that are stepping up, now you have the option of really at the deadline go do whatever you want because you have other players playing well. So I think it's I'm going to sit back and enjoy the rest of this season, and while I hope we can watch them fight off everyone else for that number one best team in baseball tag.
Yeah, I mean, they got to keep this up, and I fully have that belief in them that they can do so. All right, so coming up, it's a big week, man. Another 7-game week for the Phillies. 2 up in Citi Field to start the week. They have a 7:10 start on Monday and a nice 1:10 start Tuesday afternoon before coming home and playing 2 at home against the Mets. When was the last time this happened? I feel like it was against the Blue Jays a couple years ago where they played 2 in Toronto.
It was like a Boston. They do that. We've seen that a lot in Boston.
It's so funny. And then a 3-game set for the weekend at home against the Washington Nationals. 7-game series. this week, or 7-game week for the Phils. What are you expecting this week, man?
6-1.
I'm expecting 6-1 as well.
We
Yeah,
should sweep the Nationals. I think we go. You take two of you go 3-4 against the Mets.
yeah, I agree. I agree. So
Three
just
out of
to
four.
Yeah, right. Just to remind everybody, so we didn't do a show on Wednesday night because one, it was a 2-game series. We had just recorded or we just streamed on Monday. So we figured, we'll wait to get the full week in there for the Phils to get a show here tonight. We're gonna do the same thing this week. We're not gonna probably do a midweek show because it's really tough. To stream a show probably on that Thursday night before the Washington, and then right back, boom, Phillies are at 3 in a row for the weekend. So there's no really off day to sit here and digest the first, few games of the week after a 4-game set. If the Phillies sweep the Mets, maybe we'll come on here and really talk about that sweep because holy cow, that would be unbelievable to get another 4-game
Huge.
sweep. You talk about really pushing into an incredible May. If the Phillies can sweep the Mets in 4 here and have, 32 wins by Thursday, holy crap, like what we're talking about here. So 32 wins by
40.
May
What's that? 45
16th.
games.
Yeah, it's incredible to think about that. That's a possibility because the Mets aren't that good. So the Phillies can definitely sweep that series for sure. Obviously, we've seen it this year already. The Phillies have the most sweeps in baseball this year. So it's going to be interesting. But if there's not a sweep, then you probably won't see us again until Sunday night. Maybe Sunday afternoon. The Phillies do have a 1:35 game. We'll hop on maybe when Jason gets home from the game. But no, anything else, Jay, that you want to add?
Not really. No, I'm just, dude. It's been fun to
It
watch. I
has.
can't. It's crazy to think. What you said, 35 wins.
Yeah.
30. It's how good this team is. It needs to just be appreciated right now because this is very few and far between, and we're going to see seasons like this.
Yeah. If the Phillies can somehow sweep the Mets by Thursday night, they could be 32-12.
Because you think, the 20-year was at 93 and then 08, 25 years. It's, no, not 20 yet, but it's very few and far between these teams. These teams make it this good and continue to stay. So,
yeah. And it's so crazy to me how the Phillies keep doing this with one of the worst managers in Major League Baseball.
third worst manager in baseball, worst catcher in baseball.
Oh, by
a guy
far the
playing
worst
first
catcher in
base that
baseball.
shouldn't even be at first base. I don't know this.
I think it's pretty much also for our player of the week. I'm pretty sure we have the same one in Nick Castellanos, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to give it to Casty. He deserves it. I mean,
it should be Ranger every week, but
I mean, it should be Ranger or it could be Bryson Stott. But with how bad that we've been shredding Nick Castellanos, my man deserves it. He's had a really tough week as well. He put his dog down a couple of days ago, which apparently sparked this ridiculous hitting streak that he's on. But nonetheless, Nick Castellanos is our collective player of the week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell for notifications. We really do appreciate it. By the way, thank you to everyone, whoever we have, over 200 brand new followers, 230 brand new subscribers over the last few days. We're at, is it work? Does it go like this?
No, not for us. John has special.
John has to do it. You can't just go like this.
No, it's not. I don't think it's.
Wow, screw him. But we're at over 2,550 subscribers on our Ring the Bell network, and I really am so grateful for that. So thank you very much for everyone who keeps subscribing. It means a lot. Share us with your friends, your family. Maybe if there's any Braves fans that you have, send our show to them as well. That would be great. But yeah, thank you very much. Again, at 856, at Ring the Bell 856 and all the socials. We'll see you guys here next week. We expect a 6-1 week for the Phillies, and we'll catch you all down the road. And as always, everybody, go Phils.